As you get ready, set up your space for sitting or for meditating in a position for about 12 minutes that will be comfortable for you, that you can sustain with as much as possible in stillness. So I'm actually sitting on top of the couch, cross legged here, with some support under my leg that needs it, my right leg. Welcome. I'm Alex Levin, and you're with me through Sun and Moon Yoga Studios portal this morning or whenever you're joining. And I'll spend a few minutes, as I usually do every week, talking about a theme that helps support meditation. Meditation, I think, it's the practice at its core is simply about simply about reconnecting, remembering our true essence. And that is our changeless self, that part of us that is always the same, is always available. I remember Mary Beth, who's here with me live as well today, enjoying in a yoga class together. I had started it with a little exercise where we envisioned ourselves as far back as we could remember, perhaps an early memory that some of those we don't even know if they're ours or if somebody told us about it and we're remembering. I have some like that. I think my own personal real memory is at about 5 years old. So, and then maybe from around 8 years old, and another one at about 12, and maybe 17, and so on. And I remember that when I shared that, I believe it was Mary Beth's birthday, so it was a really great reflection. And so it goes on through, later in life till whatever time you are. I'm realizing now as I say this, we could always also start that pre-birth. You could even imagine, sense your presence before that like that Zen koan, that your face before your parents were born. And later, after death, what do we imagine? So that's going on a slightly different tangent than where I meant to, but that is all the changeless self. There's something we have certain attributes and memories, but there's a way we recall ourself, our knowing of our presence that 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 does not change, does not ever abandon us. And in fact, we feel like we need to remember, reconnect, but it's never not here. It's never not here. And that's one of the good news points in meditation, that as much as we might feel that we're distracted, that we're fidgeting, that we're not meditating well, that changeless self, it doesn't matter to it. And while it is very useful to come to that still place and what is it? When we can find that place where when our thoughts are not so sticky anymore, that we're not um, drawn into them and go down sort of the rabbit hole of thinking, that we can feel the thoughts, see them coming, but we see that they're just a part of us. They're not all of us. And so that leads to who or what is seeing or hearing, witnessing those thoughts. And from my studies with the Embodied Life School with Russell and Linda Delman, I think it's Russell that came up with this term, but who knows, it might have been a participant, is this term witnessing. And this leads to what I'd like to propose today, is that as we are in a still place, in this place of meditation, and a thought arises, a visit, one of these visitors, that is, maybe it's the painful knee, or maybe it's an emotion, a grief that arises. Maybe it's just a monkey mind that wants to do. For me, it's the to-do list that gets going, um, or planning what's next in my day. That one seems to be a recurring one. When we can step back or lean back and see that those, whatever's happening, even if it feels very much inside us, very much integrated as us, it's not the whole. And we sense that presence. I think of it as kind of leaning back or seeing from behind or above, witnessing. How is it? The question is that feels interesting for me today is, how is it that we are receiving this visitor? With what kind of receiving blanket of attitude? And attitude even feels a little bit like it's going out there. What is the space? What's the um, receptive space? What's the quality of that space? And part of me hesitates to impose something and rather just ask you to find that, but to feel it for yourself as we practice in just a moment. But I would like to also offer that space, while it's on one hand completely empty, completely nothing, maybe right on top of that we have this choice. Right after that complete, perfectly receptive, non-judging in any way space, we seem to have a choice right then. Is it a space that welcomes, as in Rumi's poem, The Guesthouse? Do we welcome with enthusiasm, with joy, or with like just a hello, I see you? That's another option. Just hello, like a truly welcoming, not pushing away. And these are just various options. You may try these on. We might need to welcome, especially if it feels like a threatening. We might need to welcome with, I really do want to get to know you, but you're a bit threatening for me just now. So maybe you stay over there outside my fence and we'll just talk at this distance. So still establishing this witnessing. And a lot of our default welcoming is not welcoming, is I really don't want you here. Or I want to solve you. I want to fix you and make everything feel better. I want you to change. I want you to be different. And so noticing all of those gradations of how we welcome or how we meet what comes can be very useful. And when we start to notice that all of these are aspects of ourself, we may be ready more and more for even the difficult ones to welcome them almost like a oh dear one, oh dear one, oh darling, there, offering comfort to some of those more difficult ones who we've tried to manipulate, to diminish, to cease its existence, to solve, to fix, to make more comfortable. After all, that's sort of what we need. We do need to feel that safety. So let's dive in to the practice. And our job is to get grounded, feel ourselves able to be safe and still, and then to be that welcoming presence. Let's do it. So as I mentioned earlier, make sure you're comfortable, and if you choose to be lying down or in the legs up the wall or whatever position, just something that you can be truly comfortable and as much as possible still for these next 3 minutes. Oh, I got my little ringing bell here somewhere. There it is. Little box. My travel singing bowl. All right, our journey will be approximately 12 minutes. And we bow together, hands coming together in front of the heart. And this first step, this grounding, involves just verifying the placement of the body is comfortable, knows the presence of ground through the here and now palpable receiving of gravity. It's always streaming right through us, and we benefit from becoming more and more aware of its presence. And it's been an amazing path, this opening to just sensing with our body. We have this it's one of the it's kind of like interoception, but it actually has been given us another name. I think it's equilibri something. And it literally, once you start to sense gravity more and more, because even if you're in a seated, easily seated position, we're balancing. And we can start to feel where we're kind of holding as if we're trying to do it all ourselves, instead of just positioning in a way that gravity's got us. And you can track with your attention, as I've done a few times. I'm not going to move my hands this time, but as if sensing from above your head, this field of gravity like rain coming through, down through the top of the head, through the skull, and on the surfaces of the head and face, but also through the middle, through the throat, through the shoulders and heart area, chest, upper back, simultaneously down through the arms as they're somehow resting and yet not too inert, down through the rib cage, solar plexus, through the lower dantian, the low back, the tail, the hips, pelvis, into the legs and feet. And sensing that contact of the ground, whatever is below you. I'm in a different place in this house near the beach, and this sofa I'm sitting on is a very different than usual Sunday morning texture for me. Note that. Note what might be just a little different, so that our attention is welcoming each very specific, accurate visitor. The whole body meeting the ground. And this vertical axis of gravity also has an opposite direction of up. There's the down direction of gravity and the upward equal and opposing force. I call it levity. So there's the ground for us, and this is so important to establish this feeling of groundedness, centeredness, and sensing it perhaps especially deep in the belly and the pelvis as your own root inside the body. That no matter where you move, shift, where you find yourself, it's right here. And we add in the breath, awareness of the breath. You can make this chapter, the breath, as large as you like. We can begin to notice that awareness that is prior, that is witnessing everything. On the theme of breath, you might find the micro releases of the belly, of the shoulders, of the spaces between the ribs. All the while having some sense of that changeless presence. And the third of my trio of the portal to presence is the space around and sound. So this is like opening to the emanation all around the vertical axis, to the horizontal, to the diagonal, in every direction, spherically, centrally, and eternally. So ground, sound, and breath can be tools to always return to recenter, reroute, recommit. helpful to have an approach of ease, of lightness, of wonder. No struggle is necessary. And possibly sensing to how the presence, space of yourself is receiving whatever you're noticing. Maybe there's a sense of hope, of hopefulness, anticipating a certain state. Maybe there's a thin layer of frustration that today's meditation is challenging. Maybe there's a question, not really knowing what the heck aLex is talking about. Maybe there's a wide open feel of this field. And bringing the palms together in front of the heart again, together, bowing, ending our practice together, 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 together. Yet you may have the luxury of sitting a bit longer, especially if you're in a rich place. Or we transition and we just notice and spend a little of our attention. Maybe, perhaps you did notice, and if you want, you can write it into the chat before I sign us off. What you noticed about that receiving presence, and we can continue to explore that together. So, thank you, and be well, and I just want to express gratitude of you doing this practice because, as the Buddhists say, when we do it for not just ourselves, but for all beings. And it really does. The effect of it ripples out everywhere. So thank you. Ciao, ciao. And come back here to join me and join us at sunamoonstudio.com for many different events. Bye bye, Sandra. Take care. Thank you. Thanks, Mary Beth. Have a great day.